actually going to be spread out amongst some of the topics um, that have gone forward. I think, Buddy, when you came on, Chris was reminding us of the email she sent out that one of the people from RPG, is it? I think um, they want to tour Monday or Tuesday, tour the town and look at various sites, get an idea of the center for development. Um, it's a thing where really only a couple of us should do it. You know what I mean? To do it, first of all, you have if you get too many, you're going to get close to a quorum, and that would be a problem.
Right.
Plus the fact that I don't know what they're going to be in, vehicular wise. But yeah, I'll send out an email. But obviously, buddy, your knowledge of the town might be beneficial in getting around. And uh, um, your knowledge of the town might be very beneficial. Um, but anyway, that's one thing. I will tell you that I'm sure all of you read the paper, the issues, and it's on the agenda. The Woodbridge Country Club update. We'll talk about that later. I had a conversation with the first selectman and the town council concerning it and what they're going forward. So I'll wait till we update on that. And across the board, not just here, but in a lot of the communities, I think um, that first of all, there are several communities that I've made inquiries about that either have no clue or are just starting up what we're doing now. It's very strange. There are other communities that have realized it, and again, there's a modicum, there's support, but there's also a modicum of pushback, of course, against affordable housing for a variety of reasons. So with that, we we are moving along, I think, very well with our task of coming up with the plan. So I would like to really for the survey subcommittee report and just add my accolades that the survey committee did a fantastic job in getting this ready to go. I'd like to turn it over to Kathy and to let Kathy talk about that and about her. For hopefully all of you took a look at Kathy's email, her uh, Groundhog Day response to Chris's Groundhog Day email um, uh, with the outreach strategy. So, Kath, why don't you take it away?
Yeah. I have to say, I didn't even check in this morning to see if the groundhog did see his shadow. So, not sure if anybody has an update on that. Um, well, in terms of the survey, there's been some, like some people have done a little beta testing even before it's been on the online platform, and I think our goal was to, Chris has been, loading this up, and what we wanted to do was just kind of beta test it with the committee, to see how it looks, to see how it feels. And to make any changes because our plan was to have this go live around the time of like at least by February 11th, if not sooner, to coincide with the Woodbridge Town News and the Woodbridge the other newsletter that would be announcing that. So, but I guess some folks have tested it, and there's a question about the introduction, which we all, at least our subcommittee, really wanted to keep because it was really informative. But then there was some concern that it may be too long and it may discourage people from, depending if they're doing it on their phone or a tablet or something, would that like discourage folks from actually going on to the survey? And whether or not that language should be used for maybe something else. So that's a question, but I think we should see how it looks on the platform, and then make a decision as to whether or not we should have the introduction or not have the introduction, or at least kind of pare it down.
I do think, I mean, in going through it, my initial reaction was maybe it's a little too much, but as I read it more, I mean, it is a very informative piece. I think anybody who tries to do the survey on their phone is going to have difficulty, trying to do it on that small of a screen. Okay, but um, if that's their choice, I think they would be able to read. It's a very informative documentation. It really gives an explanation as to what we're doing. But that's my feeling on it. I was leaning the other way at first. You know what I mean? That it maybe was too much, but really, it is pretty informative to the people. It's sort of its own form of public outreach. That's my feeling on it. Anybody else?
Or else, I'm always one that always believes in being concise, and I've been yelling that constantly. And I think this is fine. I think this is good. I keep it too. I also tested it on my cell phone because now that I'm retired, I have all the time in the world to play with these things, and it works fine on the cell phone. I mean, the arrows were a little off in one of the earlier drafts, but it was nothing that prevented me from reading it. And no, I think we should keep. I think we should keep it, and that's from one who believes in brevity. I think we should
Chris,
stick
can
with
you screen share with it? Do you have it to screen share?
I know it's in the Zoho.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Chris,
Kathy, would you like me to explain a little more about what the reaction was from the testers?
sure. Yeah.
Just very briefly, they felt that if they were being asked, some of them felt that if they were being asked to fill out a survey, they would open it and there would be the survey. And the fact that they were being presented with a lot of information made them, some of them, actually quite a hefty percentage of the group that I used, feel that they were being informed, shall we say nicely, and that they weren't actually being, their opinion was not foremost. Rather, the information that we wanted them to have was foremost, and they didn't react entirely well to that. I mean, these are people who are, in our camp. So this is not a bunch of folks that have an inclination to be sensitive. So I really listened to them and I thought, is there some way that we can provide them with the information that we think is essential for folks to have? And we haven't had very many opportunities to deliver that message. So I don't think any of us are inclined to give up, to forego another opportunity. But is there any way we could combine these two things? So what I was suggesting was that we could use that information as the flyer or part of the flyer. This is what we would project in our emails, and that the code and the URL for taking the survey itself would be at the top, just at the top. I mean, it would still be on the same page, but it would be at the top. So if people wanted that information, they knew it was right there. They could come back to it. They could read it in advance if they were inclined to do so. But if they felt like just going to the survey and giving us their unvarnished opinion right now, they could go ahead and do that so that we would be making fewer, waves. That was what I thought was part of the problem. And as I said, I don't take surveys on my cell phone either, even though I have a really old one that it would be really impossible to take it on my cell phone. But I understand that might be an issue. I want people to read that introductory information. I want them to see it. I want them to have it in their hands. I want them to be able to refer to it. If we can manage that, I would be much happier than just having it as part of the survey. When it's there, they either read it or they don't, and then it's gone. Just my thought.
What about this option? If you had just a shorter, and I think the introduction is fantastic, very well done, very informative. I agree with Dominic and everybody else. But what if you had a very short introduction at the beginning of the survey and then mention in there a more detailed description of what our committee is doing at the end of the survey, and then people can choose to continue to read about what our committee's doing, or they can end the survey and move on. Just throwing that out there as an option.
That's a good idea. I mean, I would just like to concur with what Buddy just said and the concerns that Mary brought up. I mean, the last thing we want is for people to accuse us of influencing survey responses. And we don't, and that's certainly not what we're doing. And but I don't want us to be accused of that. So perhaps what Buddy mentioned, it would still be within the body of the survey, but at the end, after the survey is completed, so they do have that information because it is very informative. And I think it's very important that we get that information out there.
You might have noticed there's a piece at the end that actually says that about the, look at our website for more information.
I'm survey platform ignorant. Okay, so I mean, I've taken surveys that get sent to me, but can somebody explain to me very quickly? So the survey is going to be online. Um, there's going to be a link to it on the website, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So when you click on the link, that's when it goes into the survey platform, right?
That's when it opens right now, the introduction. And then at the bottom of the introduction, it says take survey.
And that the barcode or whatever that you would do or what you click on for that? Or
No, it's just, you click
just the link.
take survey and it launches into the questions.
I
Okay.
mean,
So
also be able to go in through the QR code as well if you have a flyer, and if that's just a different way of accessing it.
but when
Okay.
it
All right.
opens the
That
survey,
was
it
yeah.
opens to the introduction. When you scroll through the introduction at the bottom of that page, and the intro is all on one page on a normal computer, there's a tab that says take survey, and then it launches the survey and you finish the survey.
Hey, Chris, is that ready for the committee to beta test it? 'Cause I'm just
It's all
wondering.
entered. I thought I sent you a PDF of what it looked like.
Yeah, but I was just thinking of just being able to go in, so we could actually go in there and test it out.
I have to figure out I have to check with Betsy. There's a way that you supposedly can share it before launching it.
Right. I think that would be. I would recommend that's the next step. Because I think unless we actually do it, this conversation, may be hard to have unless we actually do it and see what it looks like. And I think that's when we can make our decision as to whether or not we think the intro is going to be a distraction to what we want to do with the survey. Because the main
I
purpose of
I
this is.
can't do. Wait a minute, let me check.
What?
May I
There's
just
a-
add one
There's
more
a
thought?
survey end page that I can enter, but it says navigate your respondents to a new page, a custom message, summary of responses, or their own responses on submitting the survey. So it sounds like in there I could put for more information and then put the link to the housing survey page on the town website. But it's already in the intro.
Uh, but just one little suggestion based on what you told me. I think that for those people that don't want to read through it, at the very top, maybe it should say the link to the surveys at the bottom of the page if we kept it. You know what I mean? So that someone.
Well, when they look at that page on a computer, it says at the bottom of the page that they're looking at, take survey.
Right, but it depending on the computer they're looking at, depending on the laptop they're looking at, it may open up. It may not open
I
up.
don't know
fit.
that I can move unless you're just physically putting the words to take survey, go to bottom of page, or to take a
Link is on. Yeah,
go
no,
to
that's
bottom
all
of
I meant.
page.
I didn't mean to put the link at the top. I just meant to put because in some instances it will open up not in a full fit to your screen. It will just open up with the top portion of it. Yeah,
And that's
that
what
depends on how your computer is set up, how your iPad is, or whatever tablet is set up.
That's
Can
what
I
I
just
just
add-
said. So at the very beginning, if you wanted, you could say to skip intro, go to bottom of page to take survey.
something. I mean, I'm just throwing it out for
discussion.
discussion, whether that, if we want to keep the survey. The other suggestion was to put some short intro at the beginning and put a longer explanation at the end. This is why we're having the discussion.
I can't put a long thing at the end. That's what I'm telling you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So Chris, did you look at what we had at the end of the draft survey and you couldn't
I
put that?
did,
at the
and I
end?
moved it to the front page.
So I just wanted to add one observation to our discussion. One of the concerns that I had initially with our introductory page as a technical writer is that it's too dense, that if you get put too many letters, too many paragraphs, too many words it in a package for people to read, they won't read it. So you have to break it up in some way and make it easier to navigate
Don't
and read
have
through.
all these editing
That's my
options.
point. That's my point, Chris. That's the point I'm trying to make. In the survey system itself, as Chris has demonstrated, she doesn't have the capacity to do any kind of design work like that. So you end up with that page of solid words. And I'm just making the point that that was one of the things we were trying to avoid, and that I professionally would recommend we try to avoid if we're able to do so, and if we're trying to get people to read the page. Okay, that's my own.
Well, that's why I think, I think it was Kathy's point, if we can get this out to us, I don't know what you call it, in a draft form, so that we can take it, we can see what it looks like, not just in a PDF, not on a piece of paper. We can click on a link, go to the survey, and see what the public is going to see. I can be honest, it would help me, but like I said,
Also,
I'm not experienced at that.
remember, Dominic, the people on this committee have a tolerance level and an understanding level that is not the same as the public. That's why I beta tested it with a bunch of people. And you
Yeah.
find really quite unexpected reactions sometimes,
Right.
which we don't want to have unexpected after they take the survey.
I'm just trying. I understand. I'm not trying to say that we all agree that the wording is fine and everything like that. I just want to see what it looks like. I want to see what it looks like on the screen. How does it pop up on my iPad? How does it pop up on my HP? And how does it pop up on my phone? What does it look like what's the first screen that I see? What's the first language I see? And it may be that we all do that and we look at it and we say, we got to change that. You know what I mean? Because it's different to me to look at a PDF and rather than click on some platform and have it pop up in front of me. I don't know if we can do that. I don't know if we can get it out to us. For, as Kathy said, our own beta test. You know what I mean? Our own beta test.
There's supposedly a way that I can send you a link. The worst case scenario is that I launch the survey and then I redo the survey again as a final survey, but it will be able to get out to you.
Okay.
But what you're going to see is the PDF that I sent you. It's just that depending on the screen size, especially on a phone, it gets onto more pages. But it's always the same format.
Right. So you would be able to send it out. We would know how to click on it and basically see what it's like to click an answer and do that.
Launch the survey, yes.
Right.
And you would
Okay,
the
good.
survey.
That's good.
Chris, I got a question for you, a technical question, which you may or may not know, but within the survey, is it possible to have another link? So instead of somebody seeing the whole description, maybe make it an option for them to, for, information on the Housing Survey Committee, have them be able to click a link so that they don't see everything on first time they open up the survey and they click on a link for additional information. Do you know if that's possible?
And that's what I said. On the last page, it says that you can direct them to another link. So at the end of the survey, we could say for more information and then put the link in for the housing webpage on the town website. But
Okay,
you're not going to be able to do it in the middle of the survey.
right.
If you-
want to do in the beginning, because then that could like distract somebody from going back into the survey.
because that was my next question. If somebody scrolled through the whole thing, went to the link at the bottom, linked to our page, saw the information sheet on the page, would there be a link to get back to the survey?
I don't think you can scroll through the survey unless you take the questions,
Okay, all right, fine. That's
which is why I said to you, you can make questions mandatory. So you need to look at the questions that you have and decide whether you want them all mandatory or if there are some questions where you don't want them mandatory. Because if they're all mandatory, you can't move forward until you answer that question.
it's an interesting question.
But in some cases, we say, I don't want to answer, so that should take care of it, right?
There are some questions like that, but the majority of them are not like that.
And we better be sure that they are mandatory. I take your point. So,
How does everybody else feel about that? I mean, for the sake of discussion, is that going to cause somebody to be frustrated who doesn't want to answer a question? In other words, they're not going to be able to understand this. They're not going to be able to think about that answer and go on to the next question while they think about that answer. Correct?
Right. I mean, I don't think anybody is going to take the survey that doesn't want to answer questions, right? So if they don't want to answer questions, they're not going to take the survey, no matter how many signs we put out or whatever, or what PR we do. So I don't think that's what we have to worry about. I think I don't want to answer were for questions like salary and private information, which of course is in every survey, right? But in terms of housing needs and wants and all those other questions that we have in there, again, I don't think that's an issue if we make them mandatory because people are there to take the survey and give their input.
I'm not talking about somebody not wanting to answer the question. I'm talking about somebody wanting to answer it later.
Oh, I see.
Deciding, let me think about that answer. Let me go on to the next one.
Mm.
They can't do that.
Can you see if I put this up?
Yeah, there's something on the screen.
No.
It says,
So this is the introductory page.
Yeah.
And then down at the bottom, there's that begin survey button, okay? And then
Yeah.
editor. This is what your questions look like. So, and then where can I do this? I haven't played with this in a week, so. I don't want to launch it. Trying to figure out where I've done this. Well, anyway, so this is your questions, but I'm trying to. There should be a way for me to show you. Well, anyway. So I don't know what you guys want to do.
that's what the first page looks like.
Oh, that's it. But I'm trying to. There's.
Okay, so the survey button, begin survey.
Yeah.
that, does that pop up the minute the first page comes in, even though
Yeah,
you
but
have
I'm
to scroll
looking,
down?
trying to, I had it so that I could. Share it. Yes.
Dominic, I think I'm okay with, having the questions mandatory, maybe except for the personal information, regards to salary or age, maybe those two questions you have, the option, and I think they may already be there, of I don't want to answer this question, and that's their answer, and then they can still move forward.
I'm not in favor of mandatory. I've walked away from surveys during my life that have mandatory questions. I choose not to answer. And since I have to answer it or not answer it, I just black out. I just sign off. That's it. So there's no harm in getting answers. If somebody wants to answer 80% of the questions, that's still giving us 80% more information out of that
Right,
post than we normally get.
right.
My only concern about it is that if people they may just think it's not working if they can't, if they want to skip the question and go on to the next one and can't. Will they understand the reason why? Or not?
I don't think we can add that information in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I doubt it.
I'm really not a fan of making it mandatory to go on. You're going to get frustration for some people. Some people may decide to skip a question and come back and think about it. You're not going to have them go forward. They're going to get frustrated. They're going to leave, and they're not going to come back.
Is there any way around it, Chris?
No, you either choose mandatory or not mandatory. And if you don't choose mandatory, you're not going to get answers.
But if you choose not mandatory, can you go back to the question you didn't answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if somebody's going to
Don't
take the
know. I don't know that. You'd have to find that out by trying to take the survey.
Yeah, that's why I think it would be good to test it. Now, I'm just wondering, I mean, can you just publish it and the only ones that would know that it's published would be us, and we could just,
That's what I've said. I can publish it, and then if I have to redo it, I'll redo it.
yeah, because I think that would give us a better feel as to whether or not that intro might be a complete distraction. Another thought I had was whether or not we use that information and put it in the form of a press release for the Woodbridge Town News, and put it in there.
That's a good thought.
But you mean the intro you're talking about?
Yeah,
Oh,
because that's due on Friday, and just kind of put that as informational. Because I don't know if we have a press release for talking about the survey.
We have nothing yet. So whatever you want to go into the newspaper needs to go in on Friday. So
Right.
you
So-
may want a separate article on saying, that's why I wanted to try to get this thing published before Friday so that that link would be in there.
Well, you can still have.
Friday the 11th or Friday the 4th?
Friday the 4th is the deadline for when it gets published on the 11th.
So with respect to what, is that the deadline also for getting it into the Woodbridge Town News?
That
Yes.
yes.
All right. Then my suggestion is that we all like that front page. My suggestion is that front page, other than a reference to take the survey, that be our press release. If we have to edit it a little bit to turn it into a press release, to tell people to take the survey.
When you say first page, do you mean the introduction, Dominic?
The introduction, yes.
Okay.
I see the press release for Branford. It's there on our cog, right?
Yes.
It was really outgoing. Don't have it here. it was like, it was very, it was very, it was very dramatic.
Dramatic in what way?
Said, we are asking our residents for their opinion. This is your chance to participate and register your opinion about something. I'm sorry, I'll go get my iPad if you want me to.
No, but we
And
saw,
so-
but that's,
I
I
was
don't see that in the intro
up there.
well.
I was really struck by that. Their headline was what we needed to have as a headline.
Right, right, and we could do something
In
similar.
our heads, we needed to have it as a headline.
So, as much as I like the intro, I am agreeing that I really, the whole intent of this is the survey. As much as I like for it to be, I'm all for being informational, but I don't want that to compromise the people taking surveys.
So Chris, we use the front page as our press release and, edit it for the newspaper, which is, the deadline is Friday. And then you indicated we can put a link at the bottom at the end of the survey. Can we link that information that we're going to be putting into the newspaper to our housing committee page?
That's what I was gonna put in, was the
Okay.
link to the page.
Yeah.
Okay, so in light of the fact that, the deadline's Friday, Chris said that she can make this survey live for us to take it ourselves to see what it looks like. I don't know if you want to decide now to take out the introduction or to wait until we take it. And then after we take it, we can just do a group email and decide what to do in terms of the survey so we can get the link in the newspaper on Friday.
Right, right.
We have a
So-
deadline and we have to meet that deadline. So.
Right. If we take it out, do we still need a 2-line introduction? Do we still need something at the beginning of the survey that says, this is the Woodbridge House, you know what I mean, Housing Opportunities Committee survey, some 2 lines long,
Well, maybe what Chris has on her A-frame, which I thought was very good, because it was right to the point. Something like that.
Yes, direct and to the point, make it short and sweet so that
Right.
everybody can click and say, begin the survey. We don't want to track, like Kathy said, from the survey, because it's a great survey. And, make, like we said, make it short and sweet, go right to the survey, have the link at the bottom for more information, and then link the information that we're going to put into the newspaper that was the introduction onto our housing page. And then that'll be perfect.
and use the introduction in some fashion, mildly edited for the press release.
Right.
But we still like to beta test the survey, whether it has the introduction or not, whatever is easiest for Chris to get it out to us.
I don't know what you're gonna change on the survey.
Well, I think we want to test out whether or not, if you don't answer a question, can you go back and answer it? I think it's the mechanics as well.
Yeah.
And I would like to see what the intro, does look like on a device. I mean, I see it, I did look at the PDF.
I'm aggravated because I've done this where I've been able to make it the actual survey and it's not cooperating.
What is that preview button? Does that preview button mean anything?
Where are we
Maybe that-
looking at preview?
Upper right? Is that red? Is that red?
Oh, you know what? I can't see it because you're over it.
Aha!
Okay, there you go.
Thank you. So here you go.
That's pretty funny.
I'm hunting for the stupid thing and all of you people are hiding my button. Okay, so here you go. This is your intro. And as you can see at the bottom of that intro, it says begin survey.
Oh,
And so we've got the stuff in here. You want me to begin the survey?
Well,
We
just
can go
what
ahead with this intro, right?
but if you're doing that on a phone, is it going to look the same way? Where it begin surveys right on the bottom?
That's what it looks like on a phone.
Gotcha. On a phone. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think that's what people do, and people will do it on a phone. I think that might be
So that's a phone. This
Distracting.
is some other kind of
Tablet.
laptop. Don't know what, but That's it. And then this is another kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a iPad. And this must be a different kind of phone.
That could be the phone, like, when you turn your phone
Side-
landscape instead of portrait. Landscape phone.
But this one is if you're at home with a monitor.
Chris, I gotta say, I'm impressed with your technology here. This is fantastic what you're doing.
I
But
know.
you can't see, you helped me with the review thing. So do you want to begin the survey?
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
See, what I like is that when you begin the survey, the numbers show up.
Isn't that strange? Yeah.
So, and
So, Chris, go. If you're doing, is it set for mandatory or is it set
right
for?
now it's not set for anything. You want me to try it?
Click on the answers right now.
Click on 1, skip 2, click on 3, click on 4,
Wait a minute.
and then try to go back to 2 and answer 2. Works.
That
It
works.
works. That's great.
But that's
Well,
if it's
pages,
not
if you go from-
mandatory.
Not mandatory.
Not mandatory.
One page
Not
to the
mandatory.
next
Now,
page.
what you can do is
But it-
you can make some questions mandatory and some questions not.
Look, Chris, but if you go to the second page, I mean, is this all one scrolling survey? Or do you go
Yeah.
page to page? Because if you go page to page and you mark it non-mandatory, and let's say you mark question, you leave
All
question
right,
two
well,
blank on
let's
page one,
try it.
then go
So
to page two, can you go back to page one? Do you know what I
Let-
mean?
let's try it. Oops.
Okay.
So let me go back into settings, Snoop editor. So I gotta remember how to do this.
When Chris is done with all these changes, there will be a quiz on this, by the way, just letting you know.
I'm trying to remember where the mandatory is. Oh. So, no. Whoop. Oh, here we go. So this is where I would make it mandatory. So we don't care about, so this one I won't make mandatory. So
Oh, you
this
gotta do each one
that
individually.
I won't
I
make
got
mandatory. But you want to know where they live.
Yeah, let's say, okay.
So edit. Make this question mandatory. Okay. So see, for me, I don't know if you can see it. Now it's got a star next to it.
Uh-huh.
So that tells me that question is mandatory.
Gotcha.
So want to try another one?
Yeah.
That reminds me of a grant application. You have to make sure.
I mean, do you want to know that they lived or worked in Woodbridge? Doesn't matter. I can change it back. All right. So now we've got a couple mandatory questions. So now let's go to preview again. And go down to begin survey. So yes. Yes. And I'm going to try to skip that one.
Right. And see if you can go on.
I don't live in Woodbridge. Maybe it won't let me submit it. Unless, let's go down to try to submit. Oh, so that's question, it won't let you submit. So
Okay.
it'll let you scroll, it just won't let you submit it unless you answer the mandatory questions.
Okay, so you missed one of the mandatory questions.
And it
Right.
won't
But-
let me submit until I finish that question.
Huh.
Will it let you submit?
Unless
But it lets you scroll back and forth.
Okay.
Mhm.
Let me, and maybe I'm overdoing it with this. unless there's an explanation at the beginning that the starred questions are mandatory, or if you don't answer mandatory questions, you will not be able to submit. That person's going to sit there and go, "What's going on? What's
But you're
going on?"
seeing it right on the screen. This question
Yeah.
is mandatory. It's right above the question.
Okay. So it's right above the question when you're on the question.
No, when I went to hit submit,
Then
it
it
went
flashes.
back
Yeah, right.
there and
Okay,
said that question's mandatory.
right. But so it takes you when you clicked submit the survey, it took you back to the one you didn't
question
answer.
that needs to get answered.
Okay. Gotcha.
Chris, can you submit the survey if you don't answer some of the non-mandatory questions? We'll take it.
Let's see.
Answer that. Okay. Yep.
Wow. That's all, folks.
I think we need a picture of Bugs Bunny.
Wasn't it Elmer Fudd? I don't know.
Was it Elmer Fudd?
So that solves the issue with the concerns about people not wanting to answer certain questions, perhaps, or needing to go back and answer
Yeah.
questions. You
I
can.
mean, I don't. I mean, we would have to make a determination again. I'm not a. I think if somebody's into the survey, they're going to answer the questions,
Mhm.
but they may want to skip around. And if they do forget to answer, now if they do forget to answer something and they hit the survey, it's still going to go through. I mean, I don't think they're going to forget it. I'm just worried that mandatory. And Lou brought it up. Mandatory they may get confused, they may get frustrated. Obviously, one of the frustrations is removed. In other words, they can skip it and go on, they just can't submit it.
But when you're doing online stuff now and you go to enter something, even no matter what it is, you hit this all the time if you're using programs.
Right.
You have to put your zip code in, whatever it is, it won't let you go to the next screen until you finished.
Right. So, but if you're buying Amazon, it's different than doing a survey. But I mean, I have no problem with it. If we want to make them, do we want to make them all mandatory then, or do we want to just go through it and decide which ones we really want as mandatory? I think if we have to do it, we have to do it right now.
We
Yeah.
should probably go
Tell me
through.
tomorrow. I don't care, but I need
Yeah, I
to
mean, we
know.
should probably go through it. Maybe, the ones that we want mandatory, I would think, is do you live, work, and if you live or work in Woodbridge, things like that, because that's kind of the information that we definitely need, right? To who we need to have the housing for. Maybe go. How many? I mean, can we go through it really quickly? Because it is the due
Yep.
date. The date is Friday. I mean, I
Yep.
don't know what everybody's feelings
So,
are on that, but
I don't think you care if you know about whether they did the housing opportunity thing on the 6th. Do you care if they know about zoning regs? It's nice, but it's not critical. It's not critical about the thing. You want to know where they live, right?
Right.
Yes.
You want to know how long they've lived here,
Yep.
Yes.
and you want to know why they don't live here, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Hang in a sec, and I will.
Wait a minute. What is that question? One
Come on.
young singles, which if you do not live in Woodbridge.
Want to start putting some stuff on the bed?
Okay. What? Wait a second. Okay, what happens to the person who lives in Woodbridge?
If
You make it mandatory, that person's not going to be able to submit.
Right. You're right.
None of us can answer that. None
Yeah.
of us can answer that question because we all live in Woodbridge.
can you click other and put not applicable?
I would just make it not mandatory.
Yeah, okay. Make it not mandatory. Because that's
There's part of the question here, I'm sorry, part of the question here is whether people want to answer the questions. Part of the question is whether we need to have them answered. I mean, the subcommittee would not have selected a question if we didn't think it was really an important question to ask. So
But this
There are
question
some
can't be answered by someone who lives in Woodbridge.
Mhm.
there
So
might be a
Unless we put in not applicable.
right.
No, I wasn't talking about this particular thing.
No,
I
I
was
know
talking
that,
about the
but
general
we're on
conversation.
this question.
You could put not applicable, I live in Woodbridge as an answer.
Yeah.
Oh
You could.
dear. Oh my.
Perfect. So is that mandatory now?
No, I gotta go back in and do that. Okay. Next question.
Well, I mean, at this point, the way we're going, after we got through the introductory questions, are we feeling that the rest of these questions now, until we get down to the
Optional.
demographic questions, should be mandatory?
Well, and the ones at the end have an option of,
Right.
I prefer not to answer.
Right, but I mean, we still don't need to make that mandatory. You know what I mean? But I mean, if you want to,
Well, then
you
just
can.
check, I prefer not to answer.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right. So is that the feeling? I mean, again, I'm just concerned about people getting hitting it and not realizing it. But the way Chris said it, at least it goes back and tells you what you forgot to answer.
Yeah.
And so what are the other ones left? Let's see, which of the following? It doesn't need to be mandatory. Let's see.
Just another technical question. If somebody hits other and where it says please specify, can they click other without putting anything in there, or is it going to require them to put something in there?
I don't know.
So if somebody doesn't want to answer a question
I
and just
understand
move-
your question. I have to figure out how to sample it to figure that
Well,
out.
yeah, just click on there and see what happens. Wait a minute. What happened?
I'm,
Oh,
no.
okay. So it's a mandatory question.
And then if I
Click
go to
other.
click on other,
So
It doesn't look like it can be mandatory because you're clicking other.
yeah.
So we can't make this mandatory.
this is why we want to beta test it, right, Kathy?
yeah.
Mhm.
So let's try that.
Oh, that's
without the man-
interesting.
Let's try it without the mandatory.
That's interesting.
No, that didn't do it. But it may be because I'm in preview, I'm not taking it.
Hmm.
Okay, so let me make it mandatory. Edit, make mandatory, save. Exit. I'm gonna preview it. Beginning the survey, I don't have to take those because they're not mandatory. This is mandatory. Bridge. Do that and then that.
There you go. You click other and you can
I
fill
know,
it in.
I'm getting there.
No, you already clicked up.
I know, but this is another mandatory question. I can't submit without that being done.
No, I meant that's not what I'm talking about. When you
So
clicked up,
when I clicked other, it let me submit it without filling it in,
Even though it was mandatory?
even though it's mandatory.
No.
It was mandatory to make one of those options.
it was
wasn't
mandatory to make a
mandatory-
click.
Yeah,
So you
didn't-
clicked
wasn't
other, but you
mandatory to
didn't fill it
explain,
in.
right?
So it was okay.
can live with that.
Another technical question. I'm following Buddy's through here. Can you type in other? I mean, does it give you that option to type in an answer or you just click other?
You have to, you add another field.
No, what, I think
No,
when
I'm answering her question. I can't type in other and let you type in something. You have to only do it by clicking on this add other field, where they're saying other is the field. And then it populates with the box. Because if I take that off, the box disappears.
So if I want to click on, let's say I'm taking this survey and I want to click on other and I want to give an answer, I can't do that as it's written now.
As it's written now, you have no option to do that. So
No.
if I click on other and add it in,
right, okay. Click save.
save, and
Now
then I
click
click
other.
this.
No, now click other.
No, I'm in
can't.
a field. I can't do it until I go into preview.
Okay. Because I was thinking of the same question that Nicole was thinking of, which is when you click other, do you type, what can you type into the box? Are you
I know.
limited?
I know. So dog houses, I don't know.
Right, okay, so you can,
Perfect.
that's,
Okay.
Yeah.
So to be able to have an option to type something in, you need that box.
right,
Yep. Okay.
But you don't have to fill in the box to answer the question if you can do other.
the box is not part of the mandatory.
As long as you've clicked the box, it let us submit the survey without filling this in.
So I guess now that we've all seen the survey as it's going to appear on computers and phones and iPads, does anybody have an opinion, a more definitive answer as to what we do about the introduction? Have we decided that we're going to just put a 2-sentence quick A-frame type statement in the beginning and put the link on the bottom, or are we keeping or do you want to just take the survey tomorrow morning and give our input tomorrow morning?
I at this point, I feel comfortable, and I want to listen to everybody else. I feel comfortable, based on the comments, to have the quick bullet at the top, whatever, the A-frame thing. Take the introduction, turn it into the press release, and have a link to it at the bottom, linking it to the web page, which would have the explanation.
I agree with that as well.
Yeah, I do
think-
too, because if it's a beautiful introduction, but if it discourages people from going on, we really defeat the purpose. So as long as it's available somewhere,
I agree as well.
yeah.
I agree too.
Okay, so I think we've got that settled down. The only other question related to that is, who was going to take the task of taking the introduction and turning it from an introduction into a press release? And I think we're all agreed that what Chris put on the A-frame, basically, we're just going to put that at the top of the survey, right?
I think that works.
So who wants to take a run at turning the introduction into a press release? Mary, do you want to take a crack at that first?
I'll be happy to.
Okay. All right.
I just have one concern. Is there an option that I don't know if we covered this. Is there an option that prevents someone from submitting multiple surveys? Somebody goes rogue and
Stuffs the ballot box.
yeah. Is there maybe a security
That's
option or
interesting.
something?
I don't know. I'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe go by your IP address or something.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, you might have multiple people in your household, but if you have like 100 coming from the same IP address, that could be indication.
You mean like I did when the gas company had the survey about whether you wanted a natural gas coming up Rimmon Road,
Oh, is
and I
that-
submitted 25 of them. Yeah, it was,
And that's why you didn't get it.
yeah. Uh, uh, all right.
So the only three that are not mandatory are these first three.
Right.
Just so you know.
Okay.
And Chris,
Um,
we'll be able to put this link in the newsletter, I mean, in the newspaper for Friday with what Mary writes then. So we should be able to do
As long
that.
as I get to publish it, yes.
Okay, great. Okay.
So do you
Uh,
guys still want to try to take this thing, or are you comfortable enough with how it looks?
I think we still want to take it.
yeah, I do. I still want to take it.
I don't know what you're gonna learn, but okay.
Okay.
But
Uh,
that would have to be done by tomorrow, right?
Right.
Right. Okay.
Because it's gonna be icy and snowy and we're gonna be closed on Friday.
Is it?
Huh?
No.
Well, okay. When I say we want to take it, I'm not saying I want to change it.
Then why do you need to take it?
Just want to get the feel for it as a committee member ahead of time before it goes out. That's all.
What are you gonna see that's any different than I just did?
Just the way it appears. I understand what you're saying. I just want to see what it appears on the screen. If there's a problem with that, we don't have to do it. But I'm just saying I'd like to just see it ahead of time on my own and take a look at it, run through it. You know, I don't think there's any, based on the questions, we're locked into the questions and the questions are fine. We're going to send them out that way.
So there's nothing to change, so
Right.
why don't we just publish it?
Why don't we just give Chris a deadline for tomorrow, like by 12 noon? You know, you have to take a
Okay. All right.
and,
Yeah.
and if she doesn't hear from anybody by 12 noon, then she can publish it.
Well, I have to publish it for you to be able to take it.
Right. Right.
Right.
To publish it or to whatever.
I can't share it because you aren't on the Zoho format program.
Okay.
Because
So
you
the
have
only
to
way you can see it is for me to publish it.
right, because you would publish it, have us take it until 12 noon, and then you would unpublish it.
I don't
And-
think I can unpublish it once I hit, I don't know.
All
I
right,
haven't
but-
hit publish because I don't want to do that and
Oh, so then it will go live when.
Right.
Okay,
it's the only way you're gonna take it is to take it live.
got it.
Okay,
Okay.
so let's forget about that. Let's not worry about that. We don't want to confuse that if that's the case. We'll see it. We'll see it when it's published on Friday, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
because then I'll come up with the link and the QR, because once I hit publish, then I can come up with a QR code. I can't do a QR code until I hit publish.
All right. Then that's what we'll have.
So when we get back into, let's just look at the intro real quick. So I'm gonna delete everything. Do you want to leave these opening first two sentences? Or, yeah, two paragraphs?
Let's see.
Yeah, maybe that's enough for the introduction.
I mean, that, to me, that tells you why it's not leaning you any which way. It's just, that's what this survey is.
Chris, there was some suggested change to that first page based on the beta testing.
But it was down toward the bottom. It wasn't this first two paragraphs.
I'm not going to certify exactly what it was. I just remember the bit about
It was down towards the
eliminating.
bottom. It wasn't.
No, it was eliminating some category in the middle. Anyway, I'm just saying there was some.
Right.
I'm just
But
pointing
if
out
we're
there was
only
some.
using these top two,
Top two in the survey.
everything above behind the survey, if that's all you're using, I don't think there's anything inflammatory or leading you in any given direction reading that.
I think it's fine.
Um,
So I'll just delete everything else and then the wording will be bigger because it's gonna, whatever.
It's gonna resize.
Okay.
Guys, I'm flying tomorrow and I haven't packed yet or done enough laundry, so I'm sorry. I have to go, but I'll stay, I'll stay connected by email. So
Okay,
it looks
Okay.
Safe
beautiful.
travels.
Thank you
safe
very much.
travels, yes.
Take care.
Good night.
Here, bye-bye.
Good night.
Thanks.
All right, so Chris, you're gonna delete that from behind the survey all the way down to the
Everything
button.
below behind the survey, I'll delete. And then I'll create that survey end page where I can put in the link to your whatsy-bod, your page.
Right, and Mary, you'll work on a press release,
Yes.
utilizing what's in there.
Yeah, is there anybody who particularly wants to communicate with me about that or should? I freely admit to you all that I've been working all day and I'm kind of shot, so give me a little help here.
The press release has to be done, that's done by Friday, correct?
Friday, right, understood. But if there's anybody who needs to contribute to that and or have it bounced off of them, I'm happy to do that. But it would
You
be
know,
helpful.
The only thing I would say on this particular intro that I always had issues with. Wait a minute, is it here? In this the paragraph above the bottom paragraph, you've invited people who don't live in town to take this survey. But in this intro, you say, we want the people who live and work in Woodbridge to control the process. So if I was reading that before I took this survey, why would you want my opinion if I don't live in Woodbridge? Because it doesn't matter to you because all you want is the people who live and work in Woodbridge input.
That's a good point.
I'll check to make sure that was taken out in the.
Yeah, I thought why do I think we took it out? This is like deja vu. I felt like we had these conversations before. But we will address that. And
I mean, it may be that you just
inconsistencies.
delete that paragraph and then leave your front paragraphs. I think if you just delete that and leave the head paragraphs in, you've got your news release.
I'm concerned that I mean I don't have a lot of expertise with news releases. That right up front there. I mean I can write things like this, but I can only anticipate what the issues are for the particular issues. I mean for a publication. I assume they want the information up front. I assume that they want to use the detail for according to their own lights. So I would assume that press release has to be a really, expansive and not super detailed. So it would not look like this.
It can look like this.
It can look like this in terms of the total amount of information that you provide to the
It's not
agency.
just a little squib. This is an art. You say press release. I say article.
Understood. I'm
So
just
I
saying
would
that it
just
has to be
use-
front loaded.
I would just use this minus that second to the bottom paragraph and just let it go.
Okay, well, I'll take that. I'll make that note and I'll take a look at it tomorrow when I come up for air.
I
I'm
mean,
gonna,
if I was writing it, that's what I would do.
I'm gonna
Okay.
confess that I did not see this carefully enough because that is a totally incorrect statement. Because the town residents and officials are not going to decide what we need. They're going to provide information, but if the town residents and the officials said we want no affordable housing, we're writing an affordable housing plan, or we're going to get bopped by the state. You have to write an affordable housing plan, and saying we don't want affordable housing is not an affordable housing plan. So they're not writing. We're writing a report. The Planning and Zoning Commission is going to act on that report one way or the other. So that I agree that sentence needs to be taken out because it's not correct.
Mary, if you want
Since
to
you all like the rest of this, then just use that for your article and get rid of that paragraph, and then
Yeah.
it's done.
Mary, if you want me to help you, I'll help you tomorrow. I have some time in the morning, so I can look at it and help you out with it.
And then if you can get it to me, I'll get it to the powers that be.
I've written
Mary.
articles for various things for the paper, so I have no problem. I
Yeah.
can look at it really quickly.
Yeah, we just need to look at it with fresh eyes. Thank you both.
But you're
I'll be
gonna
working
wanna
with
put
you
this
both.
on your flyer too. Don't forget.
You make that correction on a flyer.
I'm not looking at the flyer right now.
Um,
Do we have a
um,
flyer?
Talking about, speaking of the powers to be, do we need to request funding for the,
Funding is already done.
funding is already done? Okay.
You have a grant, I did a PO, it's getting paid.
Okay. To move us along, and because I want to get down to, especially down to Woodbridge Country Club. Does anybody have any comments on the meeting that, for those that attended with Woodbridge, Madison, and North Branford?
Dominic, we skipped the outreach, public outreach part.
Oh, the public outreach. I'm sorry. You're
Yeah,
right. My
I,
fault.
I did send out outreach strategy, but
Yeah.
for the sake of time, folks could look at that and certainly add to it, because I just, I put my thoughts down, but there could be, there's other major employers, there's other distribution areas, there's probably other events we could be sending this out to or distributing flyers. I just kind of did a brain dump, but there's a lot more that could be added to this.
Is Dwight on?
Dwight, well, yeah, Dwight's on.
Yeah, what do you need?
You were gonna check with Beecher about having them send it out to their staff?
I thought somebody mentioned that I can go down there in the next few days and talk to Mary.
Just call them. I mean, that's all I did with Superintendent Byers and she's fine. So I'll just do it.
Okay.
Okay.
And we have no.
Barb, you gonna do it?
Yeah, I'll do it. It's not a problem.
Okay. Okay.
Do we have any issue getting it out to Amity?
Nope. I talked to Byers and she's all set. All I have to do is send her the link.
Could we just go quickly down this list? I know it's late, but I just want to put a check mark. We're going to post it on a town website, post it on social media. That's really everybody's responsibility. Are people there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. My screen just went blank. Okay. So if folks could, put that link on your social media via Facebook. We're going to publicize it in the town newsletter, Woodbridge Town News. There's Instagram. I have to say, I know nothing about Instagram, so if people know how to post it there, that would be great. We have emails to town employees. And Chris, is that something?
I'll just send it to Betsy and they send it out to everybody. So we'll do that. We'll do this. So I can take care of 6, 7.
Well, 7's like personal emails, like if folks, if you
Oh,
have.
I'm sorry. I was reading it wrong.
Yeah,
So I'll take care of 6, 8,
8, 9.
9. I have the email for Farmer Steve and the Woodbridge Park Association, and I'm pretty sure I can get it for the Land Trust.
Okay.
I'll take care of the senior center because that's Jeanette. I'm doing Amity, I'm doing Beecher. And then you guys are have to do 15.
Yeah, and 11 places of worship if you.
I did Beecher last time and was gonna do it this time, so let's not both do it.
What was that?
Sorry, did you hear me?
No, I didn't
No.
hear what you said.
Okay, I said I did Beecher last time and I was gonna do it this time, so let's not both do it.
Well, that's where Dwight was gonna contact them and it's just sending an email out to all the staff.
Beecher,
Okay, Mary.
it's not Amity.
Not Amity, Beecher.
Beecher,
I
Mary-
did
Dwight
Amity.
was doing
offered
Beecher.
to do
Dwight
Beecher.
was doing Amity. I'm happy to
I
have
did
somebody else
Amity.
do stuff. Don't misunderstand me. But still, let's not duplicate.
Yeah.
Okay, just to confirm, Mary, you're doing Beecher.
Okay, public buildings, library, senior center, I do.
Okay, then it's contacting major employees, and I just wanted a quick talk about this. What is the best way of contacting employers? Is it talking to the human resource department?
Well, JCC, I can do Scott, because
Okay.
Scott's the head of the JCC.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I mean, I know Marrakesh. I could talk to them.
See, one idea I had was, what if we reached out to the head of the Economic Development Commission? My guess is they may have emails for most of the businesses.
Oh, that might be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, well, that would probably be the easiest way rather than trying to individually contact employers.
All right, buddy, can you do that? That makes it easier. And then it's just our work of, posting flyers once Chris has those printed. It's just, trying to put them up everywhere. It's not really the summertime. I don't see too many events going on in Woodbridge. But certainly I know Jim had success hanging out at the transfer station on Saturdays. So, that might be another place to hand out flyers.
When is the closing date for the survey? I'm sorry.
I think we said what, March 3rd or
March
4th?
4th.
March 4th.
I think I don't know how many A-frames we have, but it might be beneficial to put an A-frame at the entrance to the transfer station.
We had one there last time.
We did? Okay.
Yes.
And as far as
See it?
I agree with the businesses, and then once we get posters, are we just having flyers, or I mean, just 8.5 by 11 flyers?
Yeah.
Okay.
think so.
I mean, I'm for instance, I'd be willing to take one and tape it up in Amity Meat. I'm sure Al let me. You know what I mean? Uh, Put one down there. There's a lot of people that go in and out. I'm trying to think of other businesses that might be willing to do it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of businesses have a board. Like Cat's Deli has a board. JCC had a board. The dog park has a board. With the American Cleaners. There's a lot of businesses that have.
Okay, so we can.
Do we have a flyer?
What's that?
We have a flyer.
Not yet.
Do we currently have a flyer? We have some drafts, but I didn't know we had a flyer.
That's where you were going to use the language from your press release in the flyer with the QR code and whatnot at the top.
Fine. Perfect, I think. Perfect. And then we can use that for the email as well.
Yep.
And I think a request can be made. I mean, we talk about town government boards and commissions, but a request can be made to every board and commission that meets in February to announce the survey at the beginning of their meeting.
Yeah.
Well, we can ask Pua, who may or may not be on, if she can run a banner on channel 79.
Oh, that's great.
Because you're on.
Idea. Great idea.
Great one. Yeah.
Yeah, really great idea.
Can we email all of the chairmen and women out there for all the committees, as Dominic indicated, to give them a copy and let them know about the survey and ask for them to speak about it at their meetings?
We're going to send emails out to all the committee members, which is what we commission board members that we did before.
Perfect.
Because I just did the flyer and then I sent it off to everybody who takes care of those boards, commissions and whatnot, and get it out that way.
Great.
Could
One
could
thing we
we
didn't
just
do
add a
last
sentence
time-
that to announce it at, when they're having their meeting, just to announce that the survey's out in addition to letting them know about it?
Yeah, I mean, We can ask them.
One thing we didn't do last time was reach out through the religious organizations in town.
Right.
I wondered if anybody should do that. I should too. Experience with Massaro Farm was that they were very keen. They thought this was part of their mission and they were very cooperative. So I would imagine the religious organizations would be too.
Certainly, yeah, I would think that if the pastors or the ministers or the rabbis were contacted, they would be willing to post it in the church. I don't know if they would be willing to announce it from the pulpit, or you know what I mean.
Well, I have email addresses, we send them the flyer. We say, please distribute this. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
As long as it's part of their mission. But somebody needs to have those contacts. Does anybody have them?
I think they're listed on their individual web pages, but
That's
I'll
what we have to do is make a list, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, I think and again, the generic thing is everybody just communicate it to everybody that they talk to. Hi, how are you? And before you say, would you like a glass of wine? Say, please remember to take the survey. All right, moving on to, and again, any comments about the SCROG meeting with Woodbridge, Madison, and North Branford? For those of us that went on it, I thought the data was interesting. I think we won in Woodbridge. We won for being the oldest community of the three, which is an interesting thing to look at. And there was a lot of other interesting statistics, and I think the entire presentation, Chris got out, right? Chris, somebody got out to everybody, right, Chris? I think everybody should have it. I think it's an important thing for you to take a look at and read and absorb, because I think as we go forward and as we get into conversations with people, it'd be interesting to point out some of the issues with respect to the other towns. Anybody else have any comments about the meeting or what they heard during that? If not, the upcoming joint meeting, just a reminder, with the Planning and Zoning Commission and SCROG is Thursday, the 17th at 6 p.m. Now, that will be moderated by who, Chris? That will be,
I have no idea.
isn't the person,
I haven't gotten the contact information, so I'm assuming it'll be somebody from either the consultant or Eugene, but probably the consultant.
right, from our, the fellow gave the presentation. Okay, so that's just a reminder. Woodbridge Country Club update. I had a conversation, received a call with the first selectman and with the town council, Jerry Weiner, just really asking me for an update about, and I explained to him that our position seemed to be, I said, I don't speak for the people individually. I said, but our position seemed to be that, we would like to see it slow down a little bit so we could issue a report, make some opinion. And I says, we're not, I stress that as a committee, we're not focused solely on Country Club. But I do believe there's some pressure for them to bring the proposal that exists to a vote of the town, because of the offer of the 9 million. I asked some questions about it, and I said that we obviously it's our job to I said we had a very interesting meeting with them. Possibly, I said everybody has their own different opinions, but I think probably we would like to see a little more of rental. We might not want to see a little more. Certainly, would like to see a little more of affordable housing, but we really hadn't formulated anything because we hadn't gotten to that specific point yet. But certainly, the the country club is going to be a central element. I do believe that there may very well be a push to do it. And I did express the fact that those of us on the committee, obviously, we would be voters, we would be out there, but I didn't see us, and I don't, and I'd like to have your opinions. I also need to have Nicole explain what transpired with respect to the commission that she's on. But I just don't see us being able to speak out too much publicly by writing letters because we're supposed to be developing a plan. And if we're all of a sudden writing letters and advocating for something, I think it may diminish that factor one way or the other. But I'd be interesting to hear your comments. But before that, Nicole, do you want to explain what happened about?
Sure. So, for those of you that don't know, I'm the chairperson for COOPOP, and we did have Arbor Haven come, as I did for many of the different committees and commissions throughout town, and present their plan for the country club. After that occurred, but probably a few meetings after that, Sheila is actually our liaison for the Board of Selectmen. And I know we had this conversation at a meeting prior, but COOPOP voted on, and it passed unanimously, to ask the Board of Selectmen to not make any decisions about the Woodbridge Country Club until after our housing report is completed. She did bring that back, and I think Dominic brought this up, or it was updated to us that was voted on, and it's my understanding that did pass. I happened to read the newspaper today, the Woodbridge Town News, which I finally got around to reading, and I was quite shocked at, we have the op-eds here, and Chuck Pine writes an op-ed for every newspaper, as we're aware. And although we do know that we will be meeting up with a lot of opposition, or some opposition, to any type of affordable housing development within town. And we do know there's a lot of opposition for it on the Woodbridge Country Club of any type of development. I was a little concerned because within the op-ed, it indicated that, and I'm going to read it to you. I'm just going to really quickly. Right or wrong, the TPZ's new zoning rules have already dramatically changed how Woodbridge may be developed going forward. The new rules allow much denser housing development, including multifamily housing and accessory apartments on existing properties. Shouldn't we find out what the new rules pretend for future housing before promoting housing on the Roger Sherman farm? Significantly, the pending housing proposal for the Rogers Sherman farm is meeting resistance from the Conservation Committee and Commission on the Use of Publicly Owned Property, COOPOP. While their concerns vary, what's common is a lack of support for development of this property. Good, because focusing on this single piece of town property as a cure-all for our financial and affordable housing challenges is a myopic mistake. Now, we all have our own opinions on what should happen with the Woodbridge Country Club, but I did want to make it perfectly clear to whomever is on this commission, and whoever's listening out there, that COOPOP never took any position whatsoever regarding development of the Woodbridge Country Club. And I do not want my committee, anyway, to be put out there as a committee that has taken a position on development on that property. So thank you, Dominic. I just wanted to make that clear.
So do you think you should put a correction into the paper?
I was thinking about that, but I'm going to go back and speak to my committee members first, as they would ask them how they would like me to handle it.
Right.
But I'm sure we did have questions for Arbor Haven. I mean, it wasn't anti-development questions. It was questions about, how it was going to look, and affordable housing questions. We had all sorts of questions as a committee. Not many. We had, maybe a dozen or so. Don't quote me on that exactly, but it wasn't not, an extensive amount of questions. But we never said that we're anti-development. Now, we do have Tim Austin is our liaison, who is in the head of the Conservation Commission. And he does speak as a liaison at the COOPOP meetings, but never did our committee ever take any position whatsoever on development on the country club. The only thing we asked for was for the Board of Selectmen to not make any decisions or significant decisions based on that property until this committee has completed their report and it has been accepted. So I just wanted to make that clear to everybody and anybody else who's listening, because I was very,
Yeah.
I was very taken back. I'll just say that after reading that. I had to read it a couple times to kind of make sure I wasn't misreading it incorrectly. And, we're all entitled to our opinions as to in life in general, but please just stick to the facts and don't put information in there that's not correct.
Well, there's a lot of misinformation in all those letters that have been coming out for the past couple of editions of that paper.
Hmm.
And it seems to be, from the same crowd or the same groups that are submitting these letters. So I'm assuming that this is just a very loud minority that's talking against this development.
Right. And Kathy, people have their own opinions. My concern is that it's factually incorrect. It's so, and I don't appreciate that as a committee head to have my committee out there as someone who is anti-development on the
Right.
property.
Right.
No one's ever said that in my committee as of now. And, I'm not to say I don't know where we will fall in the end. I'm not the only person on there, right? But as of now, as I sit here speaking to everyone here, that was never said, nor have we ever discussed anything like that. So thank you, Dominic, for allowing me to.
Yeah, I just
say
wanted to
that.
do it. I do understand that I think the Woodbridge Land Trust, I think it was the Land Trust, made a $250,000 offer to purchase the country club.
No, easement.
The
Huh?
conservation easement.
Conservation easement, yes, and that was rejected. But I think when you look at Woodbridge and its ability to create economic development in the future, it's very limited. And as I've said, you've heard me say this before. We don't have Route 1, we don't have Bridgeport Avenue. So it makes it a little difficult when you look at our land thing. And I again, so the bottom line is the temptation to take a $9 million offer is probably, from a financial perspective, it's going to be out there. But I'm just telling you that it may be that the vote may come sooner than we think. I think that we have to be, as a committee, we have to be careful. If I just don't, the temptation is to write letters in response. I don't believe that's an appropriate way to respond. However, when we have a public forum, we need to be able to answer questions. I think Jim asked at one of the meetings, what do you say to someone that says we don't need affordable housing? And my flippant remark would say it was Mount Laurel. You know what I mean? And then explain to them what Mount Laurel means, and explain to them Glastonbury, and explain to them what a $5 million fine or something along those lines would do to the town of Woodbridge. But we're not out to scare people. We're out to develop a plan. And I think what's being missed in all this is a real understanding on the part of the town, and hopefully we can give it to them about how do we attract more younger people in the town. Younger people don't come into the town and buy 4-bedroom homes on 1 acre lots for 900,000 or 800,000. Younger people go into a town a lot of times and want to be able to rent. They want to be able to rent nice apartments. And then they go from there to a next level, and then they go from there to a home, and they stay in the town if they like the town. So that's something I think that needs to be conveyed. But does anybody else have any comments about the country club, or now as it's no longer being known as the country club, it's being known as what farm? What's it?
Roger Sherman.
No.
I am not calling it Rogers.
No. Speaking from the Historical Society,
Okay.
No.
and no more so than you with Nicole. This is just another, it's another way to make it sound a little different than it really is, which is the Country Club of Woodbridge property.
Right.
Which it was for 70 years and nobody seemed to care.
Right. If you're interested in Roger Sherman's connection with this property, I'll be happy to let you know what that is, but it should not make a big difference here.
I mean,
Uh,
I think the history of the Woodbridge Country Club is more relevant. The fact that the reason why that country club was created was because people of Jewish faith were excluded from other country clubs, and I think that's more important history. And then they created a club so they could feel welcome, and they did welcome other people. So I think that speaks to creating opportunities for everybody.
Sheila actually sent me an article about this because we actually talked about the history prior to the country club. And it was interesting where the house stood, I believe, and I could support it to you if you're interested, but it stood actually, I think, on the corner piece of Johnson Road and Ansonia Road. Does this ring a bell with
Yes,
anyone?
and Sonia, yep.
Yeah, and
Southwest corner.
that's right,
Southwest
and
corner.
that's where the actual home was. So it's
But
not in
it's
the middle of
not
the property.
Roger Sherman's home. That's the point. That's
Right.
all.
It's not it's I have the article. I'm
Yeah.
not a historian, but it is an interesting piece, and I would be more than happy to forward it to
And
whomever
Sheila's
wants.
blog is good.
Oh, please do so, me at least.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So,
I would be interested in it. Why don't you?
Yeah,
well, yeah, you just need Sheila's blog. She's got pretty much all the history there. Not quite all, but a lot.
yeah. I'll forward it to everybody. She sent it to me in an email. But again, it's that like as you said, Mary, right on the corner of Johnson and
She's so-
Ansonia Road.
it's so incredible. He never lived there, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Long story. So Dominic, your concern is that individuals on this committee might feel that they should write a letter and that might devolve to our disadvantage.
I don't know.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I just don't think really if we write a letter, people say, we'll see what the committee members have made up our mind. I mean, I've had a couple of conversations with people and I've tried to stress what we've talked about. The fact is we're looking at the whole town. And I even pointed out, honestly, in my discussion with the first election, I said, we want to avoid, certainly we want to avoid appearing like we're going to come up with a plan that puts all the housing in the flats or something like that. And I said, but yet one of my big pushes and one of my opinions in it is that we need to look at the areas, whatever you want to call it, in the flats. We need to look at the commercial buildings that we have down there and see whether or not you could have apartments on the top. Not that it was unfortunately a tragedy for a lot of people, but if you were really watching the news and saw the strip shopping center in East Lyme that burned and some businesses burned and some apartments burned, that was a beautifully looking colonial type shopping center with stores on the bottom and apartments on the top. Something that would fit perfectly well down in our center because East Lyme, similar type situation. But that that was my point in my conversations. I think the temptation is, and I have it all the time because letters are written against the proposals that I'm before planning and zoning commissions on. And people say to me, well, why don't you write a response about it? Why don't you go on the Facebook? And I don't. That's not my job. My job is to present. And our job is to develop a plan. Not, I think, to get into a letter writing campaign in the hospital. And when the time comes, if they come up with a desire to go out and vote, and put the Arbor Haven plan to a vote, then that's what it is. Then we vote as individuals, as Woodbridge members. But we're going to be confronted with a situation of people potentially asking us, well, what do you think about it? And my personal feeling is, my response is, we're going to be working on the plan, the affordable housing plan.
We're gonna have to be prepared to start talking about it though, because it's only a
Yeah.
few months away before we have a public presentation of a plan.
Yeah.
So we have to brace ourselves for that.
I mean, can't we just say that we would support the use of town-owned property that has access to public water and sewer and close proximity to transportation?
Oh, yeah, I mean, we can say that. We can certainly say that. I mean, I was just meaning, don't comment on the merits of specific proposal. The fact of the matter is,
We should be talking about the merits of the proposal. I think we should be talking about the use of the land, and I think
exactly.
Yeah,
they-
right, exactly.
there's a limited use of land, there's a limited use of property, unless we want to start talking about expanding infrastructure, which is another strategy, that we would support the use of town-owned land that has
Yeah.
access to public sewer and water and transportation.
Right.
It's just axiomatic. If you've got what you need and it's there, then you need to use it.
Yeah.
And you
And,
need to use it, then you need to use that place. It's axiomatic.
and
We
the,
have to be prepared to say that. That's
and one of the red herrings, and I'll close with it, one of the red herrings in what Nicole read was Mr. Pine's comment about it, which was echoed in one of the three letters we got when we had the David Fink presentation, talking about we need to do a build out. And I'm adamant that we don't need to do a build out. I think it's a waste of time, uh, probably a waste of money. All you need to do is go back and read the 2016 build out in the Plan of Conservation Development. You can put the zoning regulations onto it, it's not a question of the zoning regulations and what could happen. It's a question of reading about the land in Woodbridge and what is able to happen. Okay. And the bottom line is, and Kathy said the magic word, infrastructure. When you look at the town, certainly there can be a few more houses in the areas that don't have infrastructure. There can be a few more duplexes. There can be accessory apartments. And we never reject anything like that, but it's not going to have a vast impact on build up. The real question is, and this thing coming up on Monday or Tuesday, for them to look at it, is to really take a look at where can you build? Where is the infrastructure and where can you build in town? And that's why we have an abundance of open space. I think Nicole or Chris, somebody made a comment at one point earlier in our meetings way back when about how much open space, how much dedicated open space that we have in town. We have a good amount of acreage of open space when you look at some of the things. So, plus the fact that no one realizes that with about 140 acres, you can have development on, you can have very good development on Woodbridge Country Club that would preserve 100 acres for open space and still have a tremendous amount of housing. But that's something that we'll need to potentially look at and be part of it. So anyway, is there any other comments about the country club? I just wanted to make sure everybody was updated.
My only question was, are they is are they putting pressure on us getting that report out so they could put it out to referendum, or is that not a?
I did not take that in the thing.
Mm-mm.
They know we have a timeline. They know that we're working on the timeline. I think that I'm not sure. I have no idea. I have no idea if Arbor Haven's pushing it, if Arbor Haven wants to go forward. There are some people that are concerned. And when I say some people, there are developers out there, not just in Woodbridge, everywhere, that are concerned about a tick up, an increase in rates, even though they're historically low anyway. But there's an abundance. And when I say an abundance, mind-boggling abundance of private money out there to invest across the board. Believe me, it's staggering. So I'm not sure what the thing is, but I do believe that it is. I'm just saying to you, you may see it be put up for a referendum before we're done. I don't know. It may or may not. But my main concern about the comment was to make sure we don't get into as committee members, it's difficult we can't get into newspaper letter writing campaign.
Dominic, I thought, did I misunderstand? And maybe I did, that the Board of Selectmen did end up agreeing to, I don't want to use the word tabling, but I will use the word tabling, the Arbor Haven proposal. I mean, I know that they're taking steps to speak with Arbor Haven separately, but I believe they have maybe a representative is speaking to them, but that they did agree that they wanted to wait for our report and they are aware of our
Well,
timeline.
they are, that, yeah,
That's why they
that's what
voted.
I understand. I'm just telling you, I'm not sure, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Based on the conversations, I'm not sure when they're gonna do it, you know what I mean? But I'm more concerned about the fact of, you have, um, how many factions, that, you have the people that don't want anything built on there. You have the people there's gonna be a lot of people that vote with their pocketbooks. And, when convinced that it's gonna lower their taxes, and benefit the town financially. And then there are people, we have to face facts that are against any types of rental housing or affordable housing. So that's what we have to deal with. But, we have to look across the board at the spectrum of everybody. But our job is simply to come up with an affordable housing plan and also to point out to the town what the alternative means of housing are, that we don't have, what kind of housing we lack.
Dominic, that the Arbor Haven proposal includes some affordable housing. Is there any
What-
sense that you got? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So is there any sense that you got that we were being asked to, to endorse it on those grounds?
Uh, I don't know. Maybe that's what is behind it at some point. The fact that the something is better than, I mean, to have something. I mean, I was careful to express my own personal opinion that I just don't see the need for whatever it was. I forget what it was. 40 single family homes along the outside. And on 1 acre lots. I think wasn't that the number?
I think it was
Yeah,
38.
something like that.
Uh,
Yeah.
30
Yeah,
something.
1.5 acres. It was 1.5 acre lots, and it was along Johnson and Ansonia Road. The
Right.
end
Right.
driveways were off of those.
Right.
And Arbor Haven was not including those 38 or 40 homes in determining the
Yeah.
20%, by the way, of
Correct.
affordable housing.
Exactly.
They were
I
in
just,
accord.
I think I'm just concerned this is a bit of a minefield that we're gonna have to be careful about.
Yes, we are. You're absolutely right. Using that phrase, you're going to have to look down when you walk.
I think it's really not, I mean, it isn't our job to endorse anything. We're here to
No.
create a report. And that's what we're going to do. And
No, but look, if they can say that this property is from is Roger Sherman's, they could say, anybody could say anything, right? So we have to try to be careful that they don't say things that are inaccurate about what this committee is all about and exactly what we propose and what we don't necessarily endorse.
Dominic, maybe we could go anonymous.
Yeah.
I'm gonna become Roger Sherman.
I'm thinking of just proposing that they put a plaque up for the one eagle I got there on one of the par fives, but that's all. But anyway, we'll just have to keep following it. I just wanted that to be discussed. I do say discuss the remaining timeline for the report, but we have the timeline coming up, and I think at the meeting on the 17th, we'll also get a better idea as to when they're gonna be delivering the report to us, and we're going to I think in April, and then we may have to at that point, at some point thereon, once we get the draft report, we may have to accelerate our meetings, obviously more than once a month to finish it up. But
And Mary, just so I'm clear, it's Captain John Beecher's home, correct? On the corner of Johnson and Ansonia? You're the historian.
Captain John Beecher?
It said Captain John Beecher home, which once stood on this country club property near the corner of Ansonia and Johnson Roads. That's the article that Sheila sent me.
Yeah, there's like 5 people of importance. No, 3 people of importance.
James Hill House.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Mhm.
actually, that's where the snack bar and the bathrooms were. So that's
Exactly. We
At-
were wondering if there was any relationship between those two.
Yeah,
and
at
trying
the
to
bottom
figure
of
out.
part five, or at the start of
It'd
two
be
part
good to
fives,
have
I
some,
think.
a little archaeological work done there, but it
Right.
doesn't mean that the entire 150 acres needs to be preserved because
Right.
Roger Sherman owned it.
All right, is there anything
worry.
else to bring before the commission? We are, so we're gold. We know what we're gonna do with, Nicole and hopefully Mary, and I would offer to do it, but I'll just tell you, I'm buried right now with getting applications and I have to chuckle for another couple hundred apartments. And, um, so I just can't really, take a look at don't have the time to commit myself to take a look at a press release, but we're all set to get the survey out. And again, I want to thank the survey committee for doing a great job. That was just a fantastic survey. And I think we all should participate in the outreach, read over Kathy's thing, think of anything else you can do. And we just got to make sure that we know when the flyers are ready and everything like that. We can get them out and put them in whatever place we go in. Go in and shop and stick them up on the way out of the store that you come in. Any other?
I'd like to just, you mentioned in the beginning of our meeting that about the tour on Monday or Tuesday, and
Yeah.
I'd be glad to, participate in that.
Okay.
So I don't know if anybody else has
I mean,
volunteered, but I don't.
I would.
I could do it on my own if
Fine.
necessary.
Well, I was gonna. The only reason I was sort of, even though I'm kind of busy volunteering myself, is that I have some knowledge of the zoning regulations. So, and I'm sure you do, buddy, too. Is to okay, this is what this is zoned as. This is what this is zoned as. This is, you would know larger pieces potentially of privately owned land. Um, I mean, if they have any questions, we can identify. We can actually hopefully call Chris if we have any questions about.
I can go out with you or with them.
Okay, that would probably be very helpful. And then we can see. I think that would probably be a good team of Buddy, myself, and Chris to be able to escort them around. Okay, so let's.
Just gotta find a
let's try
time
to.
that works for everybody.
Have a
Yeah.
big truck.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
It was nice to go through. This is my first Zoom after getting Zoom bombed, so it was nice to go through one without.
It's WebEx, it's not Zoom.
That's right. That's right. WebEx doesn't get
It's gonna
X
be-
bombed or whatever. So.
All right.
All right. Thanks a lot. Good night, everybody.
Good
All right.
night.
Everybody.